they're all gone on his head. They're all gone now. Allegedly, he turned up at 7 a.m. as well to trade it. You just can't make it up. Happy birthday to Flamini as well, the former Arsenal man, as my phone has just messaged me. But yeah, people, let's look at all these latest news reports and things. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately, as we already know. Osimhen's been speaking, Napoli are doing quite well in Italy. He's doing quite well. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Obviously, when you look at centre mids and strikers, everybody in the top six, various different profiles and squad depth and stature and all those things are probably looking for these positions. Allegedly, Osimhen has said, "I'm working so hard to make sure that I achieve my dream of playing in the Premier League." Napoli star Victor Osimhen admits he wants to move to England as Manchester United and Arsenal are prolific striker. He's going to cost a lot of money. Obviously, it would be good. You'd have him, you'd have Jesus, you'd have Eddie in the squad role. Obviously, you've got the Sakas, the Martinellis, the Trossards now, Smith Rowe, and anybody else we already have that I haven't mentioned or that comes in. Goals win games. We've been sharing out the goals. Why not bring in someone with a different profile that can actually head the ball and maybe be a bit more direct? He's revealed it's his dream to play in the Premier League. Obviously, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Napoli are going to have to give him a renewal. As you know, he's hot commodity. Everybody knows the Premier League has money. And Napoli are notoriously difficult to do business with. Koulibaly didn't get a move for about 20 years after always being linked with a move to the Prem. Maybe with his performances for Chelsea, you see exactly why that never happened. But who knows, people? We've actually chased this man since he was 17 years of age. Obviously, now at 24, things are different. The Napoli striker is wanted by a host of English top-flight clubs this summer. Osimhen would cost a huge fee as he still has 2 years left on his contract. Victor Osimhen has revealed it is his dream to play in the Premier League, people, amidst the stunning season of performances for Serie A leaders Napoli. Osimhen is the Italian top flight's top goal scorer this season, having netted 19 goals in 21 appearances, and has become Napoli's most important player on their way to establishing an astonishing 15-point lead at the top of the table. The 24-year-old scintillating form has obviously put Europe's biggest clubs on red alert, and he has now ramped up transfer speculation after revealing to The Athletic that he's working hard to one day play in the Prem. Maybe that's a bit of mind games to get a new deal. My guess is he would sign improved terms at Napoli, and again, Napoli will be even in a stronger negotiating position. But if he doesn't sign a contract this summer, he runs it down next year. You never know, people. He said himself specifically, "I think playing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world, Serie A, is an amazing feeling for me. A lot of people worldwide consider the Premier League as the best and the strongest league, but now I'm in one of the best leagues in the world, which is the Italian Serie A. I'm working so hard to make sure that I achieve my dream of playing in the Premier League someday. But like I said, it's a process. I just want to keep on this momentum and continue to do well." Manchester United, Chelsea, and saving the best till last, a team that didn't lose 7-0 at the weekend and got 3 points. Arsenal have all been linked with launching audacious efforts for the Nigerian forward, with each needing a proven 20-goal-a-season striker to lead their line next season. I mean, that's discrediting Jesus, but we would be in the Champions League. We would need higher caliber players in general, in addition to Jesus. Premier League leaders Arsenal currently have to choose from Eddie Nketiah or Gabriel Jesus as the focal point of their attacks. Basically, slyly, do we even have a striker available for Thursday? We hear it's touch and go with Eddie Nketiah, with obviously Trossard, Jesus. There's rumours he could be on because he's on loan. Obviously, again, Arteta has spoken of Smith Rowe and Reese Nelson actually being able to play as false nines. So I have to see. While Manchester United have had to deploy January loan signing Weghorst up front or in the 10, it didn't work at Anfield. And Chelsea have Aubameyang, who, as bro, you're a bit done him a bit dirty there. However, any such deal with Napoli would likely break the 100 million mark and could even top the British transfer record of 107 million that Chelsea paid Benfica for Enzo Fernandez in January. Now, obviously, what Chelsea did and every other Premier League club has done, they're at a disadvantage. Napoli got a hot commodity. Do you want to pay the money? Obviously, it feels like every week the transfer record is being shattered. These things are going to go against Man United, Chelsea, and Arsenal, who all have and are earning a lot of money. Apparently, United are keeping tabs on Tammy Abraham. He's also been linked with Arsenal and Chelsea again. His latest comments will have sent Osimhen's Premier League chases into a frenzy, with his public declaration a signal that he could be ready to swap the sunshine of Italy for the cold frost of England in the summer. Although any potential deal would first have to be enough to tempt Napoli, who have been notoriously tough negotiators in the past, to sell. Osimhen currently has 2 years left to run on his existing deal that expires in 2025, but will certainly leave before the end of that, as Napoli look to avoid missing out on a huge payday for their star striker. I mean, they could run it into next year. If he wins the league there, obviously you're going to feel happy at Napoli. You're adored. You won the league, assuming that happens. You'd be in the Champions League again next season. There is no rush. but Napoli have a bunch of decent players. The Serie A outfit could be set for an off-season of departures with KK and Kim Min-jae, both impressive enough to catch the attentions of European suitors. I mean, KK's been drawn with Napoli and everyone. He's going to cost a lot. Kim is a very decent centre-half, really, and it's been a shrewd addition. Once again, Osimhen said, I'm working so hard to make sure I achieve my dreams of playing in the Premier League. Now I'm in one of the best leagues, which is Serie A. It's an amazing feeling for me. Nice to be here, my guy. Not been around daytimes lately. No worries in the circle. Hopefully we get some top players. Rice for me is poor value with 1 year left. Zubimendi is the one. I hear that. Big up my guy Jams or highlights. Make sure you're following him. I mean, he clips all us content creators up, man. I reckon he will cost 120 million to get him out of Napoli. And clubs might say, obviously, if you sign Osimhen and he does the job and he does the business and does what he's doing in Italy to a higher level, goals win games, who cares? But it is a lot of money for someone whose contract's running down. So maybe clubs will try, maybe run it into next year. Again, like you said, can't pay, move out the place, really and truly. So it will cost a lot of money. And in today's day and age, this is probably the most they could get. Can't have Osimhen and Jesus. I disagree. Why can't you? Why can't you? You know, Jesus has a lot of strengths that Osimhen doesn't. Osimhen has a lot of strengths Jesus doesn't have. Jesus has the capacity to score more goals, but he doesn't have a strong catalogue. Obviously, with Osimhen, there's a bit of a Serie A tax because there's got to be a reason attackers go there, and it seems like everybody seems to hit it off. But there has been roles, and when you look at squad depth, when everyone's fit, all right, cool. But as you've seen, you know, we've had Jesus injured. Eddie Nketiah's picked up the mantelpiece. He's looked tired at times. Currently, he's injured. Trossard, we don't know the extent of his injury. Balogun is not even a thing. Maybe the club say if you could get 30, 50 million, that's the public are saying in terms of reports and stuff for Balogun, maybe that could get slapped towards Osimhen or somebody else. I don't think Arsenal are in for Osimhen for what it's worth, but yeah, the dream's free. The hearts were sold separately. Keeping up this feed, Mikel Arteta now wants another forward at the Emirates. Arsenal could go in for another forward during the summer transfer window. Arsenal are still looking for players who can play across the front line. Football London reporter Kaya Kanak has told Give Me Sport. Despite signing Leandro Trossard during the January transfer window, Arsenal could look to bring in reinforcements in attack at the end of the season. In terms of attacking numbers, Arsenal don't immediately seem desperate for reinforcements. Trossard was recently brought in to provide competition for Martinelli and provide a cover option through the middle. Arsenal don't have a right-sided replacement for Bukayo Saka, who has managed to stay fit and start every single Premier League game this season. Blah, blah, blah. Scrolling all the way down to specifically what was said. They want players who can play across the front line, out wide and up front. That's why they signed Trossard. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go back in for another player. Rafinha seems off limits at the moment. He's obviously living his dream move at Barcelona. I think he's very keen to give it a proper go. Ansu Fati's injury record would probably be a concern as well when it comes to that interest. And I personally haven't heard anything concrete enough. That's not me saying the rumors aren't true. That's just what I know personally. So we'll have to see really and truly where that's going to be, where that's going to happen, where that's going to take Arsenal. Arsenal open talks with match-winner Reese Nelson over a new contract ahead of his current deal expiring this summer, with the Gunners confident the winger wants to stay in North London. Arsenal are in talks with Saturday's match-winner Reese Nelson over a new deal. Obviously, his future is uncertain. His contract is expiring in the summer, and obviously he did well against Nottingham Forest. He's gone even better and impacted the game in dramatic circumstances against Bournemouth. Discussions over an extension are underway with the hope growing that the intention from all parties is to agree on a deal for Nelson to stay. Arsenal are confident the winger wants to remain in North London, raising the hope that a positive resolution can be found. As you know, he scored the winner in the 3-2 victory and comeback really against Bournemouth to maintain our 5-point lead gap at the top of the table. Not that I checked the league table. As you know, injuries have stunted Reese Nelson's progress. And off recent, like Arteta said, he hasn't been in the matchday squad because tactically he feels they're stronger players to start, and obviously where the bench is concerned to end the game or play some part. That was his first appearance of 2023. Whilst there's recognition that Arteta is building something special at the Emirates, the amount of first-team football Nelson is likely to be afforded is also gearing up to be a factor in these talks, people. So we'll have to see how that develops. Nelson has not changed his mind. His priority is to continue at Arsenal as current deal expires in June. Negotiations are ongoing over a new deal. Clubs across Europe appreciate him, but Nelson wants to stay. He's been linked in the present day with Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brighton, Nice, and probably a bunch of other clubs that I'm forgetting, people. 90 Minutes has offered some opinions, people, and said Arsenal are set to continue with talks with Reese Nelson over a new deal. but they're not close to reaching an agreement with the winger, sources have told 90 Minute people. 90 Minute understands talks will continue over a new contract with Nelson's current one set to expire in the summer, but as of yet, a breakthrough hasn't been reached, nor is one close. Sources have told 90 Minute that London clubs Brentford, Crystal Palace, and West Ham would be interested in signing Nelson at the end of his contract, while he has interest from outside the capital and runaway Championship leaders Burnley, Everton, and Southampton. Nelson has already received offers from clubs in France, Germany, and Italy. Obviously, he's previously spent time on loan in Germany with Hoffenheim and where Holland's concerned with Feyenoord. So moving abroad isn't something that really scares him. Dharma Chef of Sky Sports has been speaking, people, and he has specifically said, you would expect them to be in the Champions League. Obviously, Arsenal, I think you can say that's a given now. It's whether they win the league or not. That will take them into another market with regards to spending and the type of player they can attract, because not only can they say, look, we've got a great training ground with a great stadium, we've got Champions League this season as well. They'll still be attracting good players, even if they weren't in Europe, even when they were only in Europa. Imagine what they could do when they've got Champions League. So, yeah, and we've also been linked with Lavia people of Southampton, and we face competition from both Manchester United and Chelsea. The Times has reported Arsenal are the favourites to sign Declan Rice this summer. And who knows what else could happen if we are successful in them things there, people. We'll get on to what Leno has said in a second. Once again, further reports are saying Arsenal lead Victor Osimhen transfer race ahead of rivals Man United. Who knows, people? Man United are more likely to spend the bag than Osimhen. Right now, we look more attractive because we're higher than them in the league table and we're further ahead in terms of our rebuild and whatnot. Newcastle have been linked with Kieran Tierney historically. He's been linked with Aston Villa and maybe playing under, assuming he's still there, playing under a former gaffer in Unai Emery. Aston Villa have joined Newcastle United in the race for Arsenal defender Kieran Tierney, sources have told Football Insider. The 25-year-old future is up in air going into the summer, and the North Londoners could sell him to raise funds for new signings. Apparently, as reported last month, Tierney is being monitored by Newcastle as they assess the market for a new left-back this summer who can shot straight into their starting 11. Unfortunately, Tierney, the system has evolved. You can't really do what Zinchenko brings, so it's a squad player, nothing more. Unless Zinchenko's form deteriorates, he goes into midfield, or you show Arteta why he should somewhat be a bit more flexible and insert Tierney into the starting lineup. Villa are also interested in Tierney despite signing a left-back in January when Alex Moreno arrived from Real Betis in a 12 million deal. Villa could sell Luka Dean in the summer. So we'll have to see, people. Significant fee. I'm not sure Tierney is saying that we'll break even and make about 25 to 30 million. There's a sell-on clause to Celtic. Whether we should be helping Newcastle, who, in a few years are going to be rivals for Arsenal, someone that's 25 prime years in front of him, I'm not too sure. I don't think Arsenal want to sell him. I think Tierney wants to leave. So that should really strengthen our negotiating hand, because it's not like we consider him damaged goods. So we'll have to see. But of his 26 appearances in all competitions, people, many have been as a sub, and he's only started 4 times in the Premier League. And I think yesterday, big up to everyone who's part of that stream yesterday, his Premier League minutes equates to about 26, 27, 28 minutes per game. So I don't think Tierney will kick up a fuss. I think he'll give his all for now to the end of the season, and I think he'll keep it moving. It is what it is, really, in that regards. Arsenal will listen to offers for 3 senior stars to pave way for marquee signing, says Football Insider. The Gunners need to balance books with some significant sales after 3 big January captures and a 50 million net spend. I mean, I'm not saying you should do this, but if you get a fee for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, if you sell Balogun, if you get Cedric, Marie, Pepe off the wage books, the resources start looking better. There's not too many players that we actively want to sell that are going to recruit decent fees, but you've got Kieran Tierney, who you could at least break even on and whatnot, people. We did fail with a £70 million bid for Moises Caicedo. So how much is the desperate need, people? Of the 3 players, one is Kieran Tierney. Albert Sambi Lokonga could go, and Tavares could go. I mean, Tavares, we spent 8 million. You surely should make at least double that. Lokonga, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's worth loaning him out for 1 more year and seeing what he could pull up. Apparently, Moises Caicedo has said, we are trying to get into the Champions League. That is the dream of the team. It will be very difficult, but we are convinced we can do it together. We want to keep going into the end, and we are sure we will do it. He signed a new deal. I don't think Brighton will make the Champions League, but keep doing what you're doing. Allegedly, on the topic of Caicedo, Arsenal are still chasing Moises Caicedo as 90 plus million asking price revealed. Arsenal among the Premier League sides still chasing Brighton star Moises Caicedo despite him signing a new contract, sources have told Football Insider. It's believed the 21-year-old's new deal will not deter any potential suitors, who also include Chelsea, Manchester United and Liverpool. Caicedo committed his future at Brighton until 2027 on Friday, but his renewed term sheet does not include a release clause. Apparently, there's a further option of another year, people. So essentially, it's until 2028. Apparently, Brighton slapped a reported price tag of 90 million on Caicedo's head in the winter window. They didn't want to sell him because they're targeting another big finish. But it's believed the Seagulls' bargaining chip has improved after a new contract was agreed, which is true. They don't want to let the player go. They want him to grow with the squad. 21 years of age, there'll be plenty of times to get better moves. Maybe they stop being a bit unreal. It's not really unrealistic in a day and age, but maybe they stop being a bit unrealistic with their asking fee in the summer because they've got time to assess what they want to do. Other clubs will have other options. As we know, he did the social media antics. The 21-year-old went public Stadium after news broke of interest from Arsenal in January, citing the need to secure his family's future with an improved pay packet. Caicedo now earns a reported wage of 60 grand a week after signing his new deal. Sources close to the midfielder have revealed he is still keen on moving to a top-tier club this summer as he wants to play at the highest level possible. He has notched 26 appearances as a regular for Brighton this season, notching 1 goal and 1 assist, and he did well at the World Cup with his country, Ecuador. So we'll have to see how that one develops, people. I'm not too sure. Apparently, Tierney is tempted by a move to Newcastle this summer if he continues to struggle for game time at Arsenal, people. He's got 3 years left on his deal in 2021, did he, or something like that? Did he not sign improved terms? So I have to see. The Gunners have not yet decided if they would sanction the departure of Tierney, but if he leaves, they would want more than the 25 million they paid to sign him from Celtic. Shouldn't leave unless he makes it abundantly clear we have a replacement confirmed, because we're going to be in the Champions League, and Zinchenko's had a little knocks and things. Unless you can find another guy that plays exactly like Zinchenko, which I don't know how much they're out there in that left back role, or someone that can do what Tierney does but is happy sitting on the bench, I don't know. But you'd imagine this is something we had to consider, and we're actively looking. Apparently, Leicester were interested in signing a 25-year-old in January, as Brendan Rodgers is a big admirer of Tierney after working with him at Celtic. So we've seen Aston Villa, Newcastle, Leicester, and probably a couple of European clubs. Again, it wouldn't have made sense selling him mid-season, rightly so, people. Tierney was a regular when Arteta was hired by Arsenal in December 2019, but he has suffered from a change in system this season. Yeah, and really, Zinchenko being available. Smash the like button if you haven't already, folks. So it all depends. Again, we were linked with Victor Rogue previously. It probably looks like that's a myth. Barcelona are advancing in talks to sign Victor Rogue. Atletico Paranaense have already told other clubs that he'll be a Barcelona player. Agreement getting close for a deal up to 40 million euros, either with variables or on loan plus mandatory purchase option. So another one bites the dust there. We have been keeping up the Tierney theme. Apparently, Arsenal could swap Tierney for Manuel Locatelli. If Locatelli was really on it, which he wasn't, and if I really bought this, then I'd be on that as well. Why not? Arsenal reportedly targeting a summer move for Juventus midfielder Manuel Locatelli and could offer Tierney in a potential swap deal. Arsenal are reportedly open to offers for Tierney this summer. I value him at around 30 million. Newcastle are thought to have him firmly on their radar, and the Gunners could look to cash in. As per Italian news outlet Calcio Mercato Web, which I don't believe, the Gunners are targeting a move for Locatelli this summer and are offering Tierney in exchange. However, that offer would not convince Juventus to sell. Inside the North London club would likely have to offer money up front as well as Tierney. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I don't really believe that, but you can if you want, people. We'll look at this in a bit. 80 million star now excited by moving to the Emirates. Arsenal have been boosted in their pursuit of Declan Rice as the West Ham midfielder is flattered by the Premier League leader's interest, and positive signs are coming out of the Emirates Stadium, says Football.London journalist Kaya Kainak. Specifically, the man himself said, in fact, just before that, people, apparently it's understood that Arsenal are in sustained contact with Rice's reps and are willing to put a 200k per week contract on the table as they look to steal a march on other suitors. Apparently, the report suggests the North Londoners are confident of beating Chelsea to the central midfielder's signature, while he could be lured away from West Ham for 80 million. We'll have to see. Respected journalist Peter Root recently told Give Me Sport that the England international is interested in linking up with the Premier League pace setters and could be at the centre of a bidding war. There is uncertainty over Rice's long-term future as he's set to enter the final 12 months of his 60 grand per week contract in the summer, but West Ham could trigger an option to extend the agreement by another year. Kaya said, from what I hear, he's quite happy with the interest. He's quite excited by the prospect of moving to Arsenal and the prospect of playing in the Champions League, which is something he's always said. He's been very flattered by the fact that Arsenal are making an effort to sign him, and going in this way, I think it's looking positive for Arsenal. We'll have to see. Liverpool apparently keeping close tabs. We've heard City previously are interested, and we hear Man United are admirers as well. Man, shout out to you lot tuned in. Should have got a striker in January. Appreciate the Twitch ones. Osimhen is not suited to our style of play. Better Vlahovic. Not sure. Nelson would be nothing more than a bench option, but as long as he does what he's done at Bournemouth when called upon, I hear it. If Nelson is serious, he's leaving. I don't care if he leaves or stays, but offering a new contract, we could also have value for him. I hear that. How many years would Nelson get? Surely a 2-3 year deal, maybe 2 years, maybe 2 years plus an option of a third. 1 year doesn't really make sense because you're in this scenario again. Maybe 2 years. You've got 2 years, 18 months to show you're 30. Either you go on loan and put yourself in the shop window, or you do something from now to the end of the season, and obviously next season more like 40 mil for Kieran Tierney. I hear that, but if I'm Newcastle, Leicester, Villa, or anyone else, I'm sitting there and saying, boy, he's only averaged around half an hour every game he's played for you lot. The game has advanced. We're seeing inverted wing backs. Tierney's more of an old school one. He can't really stay fit. But if I'm Arsenal, I'm saying, listen, he's a key player. He starts at a lot of teams in the Premier League and a lot of top clubs. We've just upgraded the system. He's 25. He's a Scottish international. So it'll be interesting. I think Tierney has to force his hand. Pepe, of course, has to go. And as much as I think that, Arteta doesn't want to keep unhappy players, and if Tierney wants to leave, he can leave, and it'll more be like being kind to him. We've given him a new deal amongst all the other things we've said. And while we don't want unhappy players, people are not doing us no favors. If we try and buy Bruno Guimaraes, even if he was available, Newcastle, rightly so, not going to do us any favors. So why do it for them? If you make a somewhat profit on Tierney and things like that, we move in it. But we need to get an inflated fee because, as you lot know, players' fees and valuations they're gone out the window now. So we need to show we can hustle really and truly. Tierney worth 35 million plus ads. Bro, if Newcastle get Champions League, we need to move mad. Italians don't come to the English Premier League, is proven facts. If we are selling Tierney, it better be for really good money. There aren't a lot of good left backs in the market. I hear that. Locatelli crocked in it, not too sure, man, but he hasn't really done too much, really and truly, for Juventus. Rafael going to cost a pretty penny, but his contract's running up, so he could be cheaper than Osimhen, even though I don't think either player signs for Arsenal, because I don't think we got in for them. Not for a geezer with 1 year on it. If Tierney leaves, we need cover too. Zinchenko missed a lot of early games for us, and with Champions League football, it won't be easy. I agree firmly. Don't forget to smash the like button. Losing Tierney on the cheap, we'll need another fullback. Exactly why I say, can we get top fees? Because anything we get for Tierney, unless there's like an early emerging talent, we're going to have to invest that on another guy on top of everything else we're going to do, really. And there's a lot of other options to address before we talk about Tierney's situation, in my opinion. Yunus Musa has been linked with Arsenal, Chelsea, and a whole bunch of other clubs, people. Yunus Musa not going to Arsenal, but Fulham ideal for 34 million ace. What does this mean? This is just someone's opinions. I don't really care for their opinions. I want articles. Aston Villa have been linked with Denzel Dumfries, and so have we, people. I don't really buy that, and I'm sure a lot of you won't either. Wilfred Zaha can join Arsenal or Chelsea in a free transfer after years of waiting. Arsenal and Chelsea are among a number of clubs monitoring Wilfred Zaha's situation, with Crystal Palace star entering the final weeks of his contract. I think, while I'm not going to discredit him, he's turning 31 this year. Jorginho and Trossard show no signs of slowing down. El Nene, Partey, and Xhaka are kind of around this age range. Zaha could help us a lot, but I just feel the time's gone, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you. It's understood Cristiano Ronaldo's new club, El Nazir, are mulling over an approach, but according to TalkSport, a move across London is more a likely outcome. Arsenal, Tottenham, and Chelsea have all shown interest in Zaha in the past, and although he's turning 31 this year, nabbing for nothing may well appear to the likes of Graham Potter and Mikel Arteta. You're going to have to give Zaha a decent contract anyways because of his age, because of the years he's put, years of service in the Premier League, and the fact that he'll be a free agent. We'll have to see, really. In the years since, Zaha has established himself as one of the Premier League's most capable forwards outside the Big Six, netting 67 goals in just under 300 appearances. He scored a career-best 14 league goals last season and has 6 to his name in the current campaign. Zaha's importance to Patrick Vieira's side is undeniable, but with a promising batch of youngsters such as Eze and Elise coming through, the prospect of losing him doesn't feel as quite disastrous as it once did. So it don't really say anything other than previous interest in the lad, people. Liverpool have been linked with Ivan Ndiko. With us going for Kyrgios, I wouldn't rule out Ivan Ndiko, but it seems like his free transfer, his free signature is not a thing for Arsenal. Arsenal switch would be perfect for out of favour Real Madrid star who will be available for free. Marco Asensio has been linked with Barcelona. Arsenal would be perfect for him. I mean, he's still got talent. I wouldn't be against it, Champions League proven, because he's won a couple of them without necessarily being a key player. Don't know if he'll sign a renewal at Real Madrid, but I know I don't buy that. Cesc Fabregas was back at London Coley with Jack Wilshere, as you can see here, people. We'll have to really see how these things develop. Let's see what this article has said as well to wrap up the transfer news part of this live stream, people. On Lavia, Fabrizio Romano said nothing has changed for Romeo Lavia. At the moment, it's normal to see big clubs like Arsenal linked because he's a top talent, but there's nothing concrete at this stage. I expect he'll cost more than 40 million because that's the buyback clause for Manchester City. We already know with Reese Nelson, Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Everton, Southampton, Nice, Burnley, all interested in him. He previously said, of course, I've been here since I was 8 and Arsenal is all I know. I'm only a couple of minutes from the stadium. All my family is there. So, of course, I'd love to stay. This was in December of last year. I said a few times, I've been here since I was 8. I'm 23 now, so I've been here a long time. I am Arsenal through and through. So to be playing even in games just like this, I'm delighted. Of course, injuries are just a minor setback, but of course, I just look towards the future and hopefully I can play many more years at the club. If we just humor ourselves completely off topic, people, with Reese Nelson, you know, because as much listen, no one's more Haaland than me. I've previously said it's an emotional call from me. But if someone's to get a new lease of life or a new deal, I'd love it to be Reese Nelson purely because I believe there's a talent in there. But I do think if you're going to set down a marker now, it's your time. Because I think if you didn't get injured against Nottingham Forest or whatever game it was after you built on the Forest game, you might have made something happen. But you might have to leave Arsenal to get to the Reese Nelson you want to be, really and truly. If you look at the appearances, despite the fact that he's now 23, kind of been on the fringes of things since he was 18, he's still only played 56 times for Arsenal Football Club. He's still only played 26 times in the league. When you look at, he's been injured and stuff, but he's been in 3 appearances. I mean, his record's wavy. Mudryk and all them duds there could never. 3 goals in 3 games in the Premier League and 2 assists. Got to have one of the best minutes to goals ratio going at the moment, but he's only played 84 minutes. He's played 90 minutes in the EFL Trophy where he went out, and the majority of his football has come in the Europa League with 162. Now, he hasn't been helped with injuries. 5 problems ruled him out of the Europa League initially, as you can see, and whatnot. People, he had 5 injuries at the start of the season. Then he held the bench. Obviously came off the bench and impacted quite well against Nottingham Forest. Probably could have played his way into the Chelsea team, but it was an adapt thing. Then he's got 5 injuries again. Then he's not been in the squad. So some of it has been injuries affecting his consistency. Sometimes he's probably just not been a good option, really and truly necessarily. And in his 21 minutes against Bournemouth, he did well. So I'm all for that, people. But with him being 23, it takes me back to what Arsene Wenger said a few years ago when he spoke about, this could apply to Lokonga as well, many players, when he spoke about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Previously, you know, Arsene Wenger said, just on the topic of being 23 years of age, people, he said, this was in relation to Alex, as I said, he's not young, he's not a young player anymore. He is now 23, and at 23, you become a football player who is the finished article. Before 23, you learn your job. At 23, you become more consistent. You know what's expected of you. You know how to deal with the pressure, with the situation, with the competition inside the squad. So that could apply, you know, you remove that could actually apply to today. So it's an interesting way of looking at stuff. In relation to Arsenal's injury news, people, allegedly, Leandro Trossard is due to have further tests on Monday, but Arsenal hope that taking him off quickly on Saturday prevented significant damage to his groin. Trossard is likely to miss the game against Sporting Lisbon in Portugal on Thursday, people. Eddie Nketiah is also expected to miss the Sporting Lisbon match due to an ankle injury after he was absent against Bournemouth. He is also a doubt for Sunday's game at Fulham. So, Fulham away is not going to be easy. Apparently, Arsenal are optimistic that Leandro Trossard once again did not suffer a serious groin injury against Bournemouth. Let's see exactly what's being said. Trossard is due to have further tests on Monday, which was yesterday. You need 48 hours to see the diagnosis. But leaders Arsenal hope that taking him off quickly on Saturday prevented significant damage to his groin. Trossard's likely to miss that. Eddie allegedly is likely to miss that as well, people. There was rumors, you know, there's rumors that Gabriel Jesus, according to Kaya, Jesus might travel with the team to Lisbon this week with Eddie Nketiah. It could make it if he passes a late fitness test. If he's not fit, leave him out, people. So we'll have to see in relation to that. Jorginho has been on the bench. He's had an illness, but as Arteta said, he is fine. And Nketiah has picked up a knock, wasn't involved. Smith Rowe obviously hasn't played too much football, but he is fit. Gabriel Jesus, Arsenal are hopeful of having Jesus back in the first team squad before the international break towards the end of March. Football.London understands the North London outfit welcomed Crystal Palace to the Emirates before the club action pauses for a fortnight due to international fixtures. Arsenal are hopeful of having the former Man City frontman back in the squad before the players head off with their respective nations. Fair enough, really and truly. And as we know, El Nene won't be coming back anytime soon. As we know, Jesus did join the post-match warm-down with the substitutes following the 5-goal thriller that saw us win 3-2 against Bournemouth. It's crazy that we've still been able to do what we're doing. Jesus has missed 12 games, people. And it's nice to see he's not far away from fitness, and he's doing his little training here and there. Hopefully he can continue, man. And really and truly, we won't know if he'll be involved, but hopefully sooner rather than later, we're going to need a big push. Apparently, Leno's been speaking, people, about, leaving Arsenal and everything else, people. Specifically, Leno has said, I don't have any toxic feelings or bad energy for Arsenal. It didn't end in a perfect way, but my reception at the Emirates was really good. I get fans coming up to me saying, thank you for your 4 years. You were very good. Yeah, do you know what? A lot of the times we'd lose 4-0 and you'd still be the man of the match, really. I was really happy with my performances. Even when they dropped, I did nothing wrong. I came through the front door and I left through the front door. I still have a connection to the club. It was clear for me I wanted to stay in the Premier League. It was the best league for me in the world by far. And London life, I really love it here. Probably should have sold you for more than 3 million quid, though. I speak to people at Arsenal about wanting to join Fulham. Everyone said it's a nice family club, and I played many times against Fulham. It's an old school stadium. All these aspects played a role. The goalkeeper coach and manager spoke to me about their plans. Hugo is a very good coach. I love my job. And if you have someone who is always smiling, he lifts you in difficult times. At the beginning, the main goal was to stay in the Premier League. We're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. We're 7th in the league. No one saw that coming. And again, on Sunday, we can't look beyond Sporting Lisbon, but they're going to be on stuff. That Manuel Solomon brother just keeps bagging, really. Ivan Toney was good yesterday. And he went on to say, we were all good additions, but we are not the spine of the team. The energy was already there before. My form is the same as the team's, pretty good. Most of the games at the beginning, you have a feeling you are the underdog. At Arsenal, it was a little bit different because you had to win and there was a lot of pressure. This season, we gave everything back to the fans. The expectations were different, but now the fans are dreaming. It's growing. I feel at home here. He then spoke about Arsenal. And said, I didn't go to the World Cup because I didn't play at Arsenal. And then the World Cup was in November. I can accept that. But hopefully in March, in the summer, or even next season, I can go back. That would be great for me. He did say he hopes we can win the league, people, and he thinks we can. So we'll have to see in that regards. We've seen that already. Benjamin White said he'll be a gardener if he wasn't a footballer, really. Nice to see footballers speaking about this. I'd probably be working with my dad if I wasn't a footballer. He used to be a gardener. I think that's why there was never any pressure on me growing up, because I would have been really happy with that. I went into football, but it would have been no problem for me to do what my dad does. I never used to watch football much anyways. If it was on when I was a kid, after 5 minutes, I'd get bored of it and go outside and play football. I didn't really watch it. I'd rather much do it. Even now, I don't really watch football. I watch my own clips and my own footage to help me improve, but I couldn't watch a game for fun. Fair enough, man. You're entitled to switch off how you switch off. When you play, keep playing like you're playing. Don't need to watch football. I'm obsessed with being the best I can and being successful, and that would have been in anything I did. So that's lovely to hear. I always wanted to do the most I can to be a success. If I had gone into gardening, it would have been the same. Fair enough. My profession just happens to also be a lot of people's hobbies. They look forward to every Saturday to watch the game, and that's great. But for me, it's about being on pitches every single day, trying to constantly be the best you can be. That's the bit I really love. When I came into the training ground, it was all about football. It's all about football, 100% focus. When I leave, I switch off from it. I don't think my dad has ever said to me, shall we watch a game on TV? He absolutely isn't interested in that. I don't think he's ever watched one on TV, not even yours. Dad's done you dirty, really and truly there. So we'll have to see, people. Going back over here, as we said, we saw that with Reese Nelson. Tierney, apparently Juventus are monitoring him, people. We'll have to see, really. I mean, I'd probably want to go Juventus over Aston Villa, Leicester, and Newcastle, personally. Newcastle is close to Scotland, so there could be that. Granit Xhaka could be getting a new deal. Peter Rook has said, I think Arsenal are determined to keep him now. He's playing in this further role that he's not accustomed to, but he's done really well for Arsenal. I mean, not really true if you look at his role at Switzerland and actually when he signed for Arsenal and Wenger, they looked at him crazy and said he's a box-to-box midfielder. His contract is up in 2024, and having tied down other players to new contracts, getting Martinelli tied up, and they're close to Saka as well, I think they're going to be looking around at the rest of the squad, people. So make of that what you want. Allegedly, Kyrill's been speaking, people. He's at the Ola bench for a while now at Arsenal. He said he's waiting patiently. Specifically, what has he said? What does Mikel Arteta pay attention to? I think he pays attention to everything. I thought that if we were leading by 2 or 3 goals, I'd get a chance. However, I thought you so too. However, I'm patiently waiting. Everyone would like to play. I wouldn't necessarily start you against Sporting. I want to see Gabriel and Saliba, but if you start, you have my blessings. Really, really and truly. Then went on to say, when you look at all of Arsenal, they have a very strong squad for the Premier League. They want to play young players. They're not afraid to bet on them. I took that into account when I came here. He then went on to say, the moment you enter the training ground, you immediately see how big the place is, how many training fields there are. You can see that Arsenal is a very big club here. There's a lot of the ball, a lot of small games, particularly everything is done with the ball. So yeah, big up yourself, Kieran, man. Hopefully you get an opportunity sooner rather than later. We've seen that with you. Should we see what goal.com is saying on transfer reports and rumours, people? Once again, we've been linked with a swap deal, better yet, for Tierney and Locatelli. We're interested in signing Locatelli. We've seen that before. Clubs are fighting for Reese Nelson while we're all trying to get him to sign new terms. Fabrizio Romano has played down our interest in Lavia. Arsenal have registered interest in Brighton playmaker Alexis McAllister. I'm all for that. Declan Rice is very open to Arsenal move, people. Declan Rice has said that he admires Arsenal, their form, their style, and Mikel Arteta, which would also suggest he's very open to a move to Arsenal, said Ben Jacobs. TalkSport has reported Arsenal and a couple of clubs are looking at Zaha on a free. Arsenal battle Barcelona in Manuel Solomon race, who's doing quite well for Fulham at the moment. You know, was we not looking at him when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk? Arsenal want to sign Julian Brandt at all costs. Lautaro Martinez has doubled down on his commitment to Inter Milan after Arsenal rumours. We've been linked with selling Smith Rowe in the summer. Lull, we're fighting Newcastle to sign Paqueta. Saliba's contract talks are progressing. We previously had a few days ago, we're looking at Raheem Sterling. Apparently, we've submitted a bid of 40 million euros for Sergio Milinkovic-Savic. Newcastle are keen on Tierney. We've joined the race to sign Celta Vigo midfielder Gabri Vega, along with Manchester United and other clubs. And finally, it said Arsenal have joined Liverpool in the race